because it tends to repeat the special economic zone at the end. So we suggested something along the line that perhaps maybe something to include to the effect of a specific or an SEZ should can be defined as a specific geographical designated area within Solomon Islands that operates under separate regulations, policies, and economic incentives, something to that effect, or an area that operates under different sets of regulations, policies, or incentives. Perhaps that will give more clarity to what an SEZ is. That's our first suggestion. And then if we move on to section 4, which is the key mandates of the bill, the objectives, we have about 11 objectives, which are okay, but in our view, I think that it could be made more stronger. So we suggested along, maybe some of this can also be added to the objectives, like we don't seem to see any employment emphasis on this, on the draft bill, but probably if we can add some of this into the objectives, then I won't go through the whole list about 12 falana there, but if it is something worth looking at it, then sabi luluk lohem. And then the other section that we looked at is section 7. Or do you want me to go through the suggested objectives that we?
No, we are fine. We are fine. Governor.
Section 7 is on the purpose of the zone or specific special economic zone. I think it's on 7(1)(a) and B, which says A is producing agricultural products for export and producing fisheries products for export. In our view, this is not really just talem number for producing, but perhaps we can put them a little bit for mechanizing, make it more for add value to that. Like currently in state Osemia, we thought of as a primary just extract from the soil and then export. But I think the intention is to extract from the soil and then you add value it by mechanizing it. So what about if we would add in something like mechanization and production of agriculture, and instead of having A and B, why don't we merge them to follow? So it might read something as mechanization and production of agricultural and fisheries product for export and maybe for domestic consumption too. Maybe this part, food security, I come inside law, this one too, I think. Then that means the arrangement law A and B and C are by change or relabel more. And law D, which should be read as C, a new C, producing science and technology sector products for export, we thought to include and domestic consumption too. That's on that one. The other section we also looked at is section 13. It's on the authority may also develop special economic zone. Yeah, we're just asking what's the rationale behind the authority going into a participant in the zone. It's like you become the regulator and at the same time you are also a participant in the zone. So it might, there might be seen as conflict of interest there, and it could also result in unintended consequences that you may not expect them.
Isn't it a bit like the payments system here? So central bank is both regulator and could be a
Yeah.
provider.
Yeah, and that's why I think in that space here, because that's why we don't intend to go into that space.
The same reason now, yeah. They don't intend to, but just in case.
Okay, if that is the case, then I mean, but I'm just because then if you look at the membership of the authority or as the board, I have some issues with the membership too. So if it comes to this being a participant, there might be some results that come out and might not be what we wanted on that one. But I didn't touch for information on the committee. I just browsed through normal or what we think that am relevant for something. Although if I had the time to go through the whole bill, there might be some something. But so that's the next one. Next one on section 15. C2. This is on the application for development zone license, yeah? And going down to 15.2C2, it reads the full names, nationalities, and addresses of the directors, and we suggested to also include beneficial owners, officers, and shareholders. Now here, I will come back to it in my last remarks. This relates to money laundering thing. You will know that some businesses, they register, but the real owner who really owns the business is not known. Only the directors that are registered in the registry. But here the beneficial owners are the real people who owns the business, which in most cases they are obscured. And if they are obscured, then something that tells you that there's something that could be they are involved in illicit activities. So it will be good to have these beneficial owners also included in this one. And may I also add that it will also be good to maybe specify somewhere that to carry out due diligence on those people that are applying to or express interest to have inside in this SEZ. And same also applies in 15.2C3. We also included beneficial owners in there. And in section 19.2E, this is with regards to the transfer of development zone license. We thought that there is a missing, should also include the information contained in 15.2C1 to 4, that where it also asks for other information that are contained in 15.1 to 4, which is missing in the transfer of the zone. So we suggested if that can also be included.
So in your view, the due diligence of promoters or the beneficial shareholders, that's
everyone who is
absent at the moment in the bill?
Yeah, here, like beneficial owners are not there. The names, there could be also other informations that similar to PEPs that could also included.
But the due diligence, you think there's not enough provision in the bill as it is?
I think they are not enough. Perhaps in the regulations that should be specified that clearly on what sort of things that should be required, like the financial statements, the audited financial for the the most recent, maybe 3 years of that company, and sources of funds, like, that should also give maybe comfort for us not to be accused of money laundering. My other issue here is development zone license and versus operation zone license. So I'm just asking what's the difference between a development zone license? So if a development zone license is granted, ideally that's the developer. So the operational license is someone that is subcontracted to operate the thing, or and now what minimum here? I'm not clear about that one. Yeah? If it is that have not been subcontracted to operate the whatever activities there, then I think there might be a problem in that one, because when it comes to termination of the license, if the development zone license is terminated, I think it will also affect the operational license or vice versa. So maybe there should be some clarity there. So that's in section 14 and 15, yeah? And 26 and 27, which talks about operational license. Then section 47, it talks about the zone permit. This is another permit to operate one site. We are just saying, why would the zone permit be different from an operator? If the license is given to an operator, then how more by zone permit not given to a different person, or maybe the same person? It looks as if like logging, yeah? Someone got him filling license, then give him different company for operate it. That's what I think him zone permit, yeah. We see that there is a problem if that is the case. There is a possibility for opportunists for coming just to get the permit, the zone permit, then not sell them go look at the operator. So they just make money and then nothing or something. So perhaps we might need some more clarification on this space, yeah? And forfeiture, section 50, yeah, and talks about forfeiture, and this is about it reads, the authority may forfeit items that are left over from a previous operation. Here, to me, it implies that once it's forfeit, it belongs to the authority. So maybe for a little bit make them clear, Goma, forfeit and possess. Or claim possession on the items that are left over for something. I don't know whether that's the right something, but. And finally, section 79 talks about the establishment of the Special Economic Zone Fund. I was hoping to see a separate fund established to the effect of having something like a sovereign wealth fund. But when I read through the purpose of the fund, is basically to fund the operation of the authority, which is fine. But I thought that in order for the country to actually benefit from SEZ thing, yeah, I think the government should also maybe go into setting up a separate fund, maybe under the parliament, a different set of an act of parliament or something, to establish that fund, yeah, maybe a sovereign wealth fund, and then the funds can come from this SEZ fund, and it goes through directly to that fund. And then other, maybe from other extractive industries, then the rents can also come into the same fund. And that fund can be invested for further income, and the government can use it for its budgetary obligations. Maybe the interest ends from that fund, yeah. So it would be good to have such a fund established. I think the establishment of this special economic zone would be a very good start to establish this fund. With that, the committee, that's how much we were able to contribute to this consultation, and we put some calls on India. While the bill is a good one, I mean, the intention is to support the development of the country. We are also mindful that Solomon Islands is not isolated. We are not an island of its own. We are dependent on the other, to the rest of the world. So whatever we do, other countries, they also monitor us or see us. And we do trade with other countries. And there are areas that sometimes that we are not supposed to involve in. And here I'm talking specifically about money laundering and perhaps combating financing the terrorists. But this bill is a potential window for money launderers to come. Money launderers, they're everywhere, especially in the advanced economies. They have lots of money, those drug dealers. They have millions or even billions of money, and they can use this window to come and clean up their money in here. They can come in as legitimate companies, setting up legitimate companies, using our whatever incentives is provided here, clean up the money, and they maybe take off. So perhaps we should be very careful when dealing with this. So given our development status is not that too advanced, we are prone to such activities stemming out from these money launderers.
So, I mean, just on that point, because the bill does allow repatriation of funds, fairly quite a liberal. So, Lol Ketaya, as you read it, any precluding from coming through your normal processes for remittances overseas?
Well, if the AC zone, because they will have separate regulations, and maybe some of the regulations that the current one we have here may not apply to them.
So the way,
in my view, I think that would be a big mistake.
let's go to that clause and see. Well, I think Hemlo scheduling, because it's an important one, directly impinging on the central bank's functions. And schedule 4, yeah, man. 4 and 3, everyone. So, Law 4, him say Law J, the remittance of proceeds, net of all taxes and other obligations in the event of sale or liquidation of business. So that's this one there. And same Law J law, Schedule 3, remittance of proceeds in the event of sale or liquidation. Schedule 3 now.
So here, if I understand it correctly, is that it means that whatever regulations we have in place at the moment will not apply to this thing, yeah? Or
Right. That's my assumption. My assumption is this is a standalone
yeah,
sort of sovereign area.
that's what I take from that as well.
Yeah.
I think it will be, perhaps we may need to relook at these ones, because if it does, then it really paves the way for money launderers. Knowing very well that they will repatriate the proceeds without any scrutiny, then we will be...
So maybe you can get your legal advisor, go through this again, and come back to us with a written submission on those foreign exchange control issues, money laundering issues, but perhaps even on the more broader macroeconomic issues as well, in terms of inclusive development, sustainable development, and so forth. We have been made aware of some work that IMF has done on similar establishments in other jurisdictions, other economies. And you've heard central banks, the task force for this one?
No.
No more. So it is very clear you were not part of it, because the way it's written, written as if there are no consequential amendments, for instance.
Yeah.
So there's an assumption that this will sit well with all of our other body of laws. But you talk about, a washing machine. This is perfect for it.
Yeah.
Once you liquidate, so you take all the incentives for 10 years. On the 9th or 10th year, you liquidate. All the proceeds you legally can take out.
Yeah.
So you wash them clean, you take them, go now.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the J's in Schedule 3 and 4. I mean, remittance of the proceeds without any regards to the existing exchange control in place. That's really giving away ourselves to money launderers.
Please write to us. It's a very serious concern.
It is.
The other issue from your presentation I wanted to raise with you was the EU Raising Law, Clause 15.2.3 C3, and also again Law 27.2 C2 with regards to full names, but especially beneficial owners. We've had this experience already, companies that the true owner, Save, and then, 3 or 4 companies registered in Cook Islands, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, Bahamas, and so forth. So it goes back 10, some even 15 layers back. Beneficial owners, if say 10 companies back behind the veil, beneficial owners would say you jump straight across all 10 companies and go find them bonus, you don't come behind here. Is that what it would mean?
The real person bara behind law.
Regardless of number of
Regardless
companies.
of how many companies, but who is really right at the bike.
Yeah.
At the moment, our investment policy, it doesn't. So I checked with the FID, foreign investment, and they said no, it's only the shareholders, the directors.
So perhaps you could get your legal person to also maybe propose some wording, so we absolutely make sure that we would make a recommendation and say, oh, this wording should go in, to make sure we are dealing with whoever is behind the veil. That we know that due diligence has happened with them and so forth, rather than any companies, any front companies.
Yeah. But sometimes, most times, the ones in France are just
right.
For show no more. But the real man at the bike is the one really steering the whole thing. And he could be that person who really involves in other illicit activities. Yeah, so it's very important to know who is at the back of this.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Oh, you said you were going to talk about the board composition because you've been roped in onto the board. You have something to say on that?
No, I was saying that, yeah, I went through, just skipped through and I found on the membership thing, I found that the governor of the central bank is also a member of the board. And just looking at the composition, it appears that 3 PSs in the board. But I thought maybe 1 PS or something would be sufficient. Maybe take more from outside, those ones with standard, with status, with expertise in different areas. And
Like what areas?
finance, economics, law. These are, I think, the areas that really needs, especially in finance, because when it comes to when the interest is put in order to approve the application, the board has to go through. They need to know the financial status of the company, maybe the audited financial account. So we need a really good accountant or financial man where so interpreting out numbers, yeah, and can actually read behind the numbers.
So this is an issue. Unfortunately, the way they've approached the composition of the board is the standard approach government has taken in legislation. It's a representative, regardless of the competence of the authority that is being represented. So one approach now, or representative blow women, or blow youth, or blow church, or blow trade unions, or in this case, various ministries as well. The other is, let's look for the competencies required to make good decisions. So your view is we should be erring on the side of competencies. So not necessarily representing bodies, but finding the most competent people to be able to be on that board.
Yeah, well, I mean, this resonates in other SOEs composition. It's just like same structure of composition, and also appear in other, and the same people, well, not the people, but same position, something and something else. So,
and in terms of your own membership, governor's membership, do you see a problem with that?
I think there is a problem in there, especially when it, well, both ways. The presence of the governor can also support to actually check the background in terms of money launderers in there, where our team can do due diligence on the company. But then at the same time, I think in this kind of authority here, it doesn't really give like we have 3 PSs there and then the governor there. It's just like another government, something normal, by go to talk about him or something. Why not we just take those competent expertise people for what non-law board? I think this board is a very important board, yeah, because if they do it the right decision, if they come up with a very bad decision where by the end is a company where actually involved in money laundering, then by him backfire a lot. That's the bad side of a governor involved there. Once, because one board member, one vote. So even if the governor says that this company knows something, but the rest are in favor, then the decision will be in favor. And once that company is found out later on, it's involved in money laundering, then it will have a bad stain on the governor's reputation.
And the CBSI. Yeah. Okay. That's useful to know that. But perhaps when you're please write again. You rushed through normal, but you
I just received it yesterday afternoon, no, so
so you must go, then legal advice, to sit down and write come more comprehensively. Because it's an important initiative. We support the policy initiative. But of course, as we're finding out, there are too many devils in the details that may need tightening up.
Thank you, Leader. Governor law, side law investment, yeah. I think investors blame me in the past. We've been having challenges with Okata. Actually, the came Selenia inside law economy blame me or Noma. And this one is, this bill is looking at investment, job creation, economic sustainability, and all this. How now you looking by me actually achieving investors by channel come at the hard cash investments block.
Yeah, so one of the objectives is to attract foreign investors to come in to operate in the Solomons. That we assume that they are coming with money. They will bring in foreign money into the country. Now, if the company is a straight company, not involved in any illegal activities, then we would love to see that money coming in and start producing activities in the country, which is a good thing. But if the money is sourced from illegal activities, there is a tendency that normally we don't tend to ask the question of where is the source of the funds coming from. Yeah? But I think as a matter of to show that we also not to involve in money laundering, we should also ask the question of where does the source of the money coming from. In that way, then we know that we are comforted that they are not from illegal source. So once we know that they are from illegal sources, then we should not encourage them to be brought in. That will only then increase our probability of become blacklisted in the international setting. Because let's say you meet support him now for move more dirty money, come to country. But if they are clean money from clean investors, definitely we need them. So we need to bring. That's where due diligence of those companies are really important for you may carry them out before Otakami. So again, it comes to the composition of the board. Yeah? We really need good expert people like lawyers, financial expertise, economists inside the board.
And Governor, that distinction between clean money and dirty money, it's not really clear in here.
It's not specified law here. Let me blurry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your presentation and also for you help to answer more the question. As board has already. Board member or committee member already alluded to by you right come on because 2-3 important areas now law billion you Cesarim come and also in answering the question. So we'll be looking forward to receiving additional written submission from you in due course. With that, thank you for your time and thank you for being present before the PLC committee.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee, for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey.